Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about how PMDD attacks your brain. So this is going to be the topic today because I really wanted to make sure that I give you some tools on the tricks of PMDD. I want to make sure that you understand what PMDD does so that it doesn't have that power over you. Okay, so I'll put this on later. But okay, so this is what I want you to know. Whatever is stressing you out about your partner, whatever is stressing you out about your partner, about your PMDD partner, I want you to just recognize that this is the trick of PMDD. PMDD is literally going to use anything that you're stressed out about in your relationship. And when you go into PMDD, it's going to cause you to want to break up. A lot of times I get the questions, why do I want to break up with my partner? Why is it every single time I go into PMDD, I want to break up with my partner? Because you have something going on in your relationship and PMDD literally uses it. PMDD literally attacks your brain. So this is one of the tricks of PMDD. So you can't stop the thoughts that PMDD has coming into your brain, those intrusive thoughts, those lies. But I'm going to give you some tools of what you can do about it once you start thinking and stressing about things that are going on in your PMDD relationship. The first thing I want you to really recognize is you can't stop it, right? A lot of times we get so frustrated because we're trying to stop ourselves or we're beating ourselves up, but because we're going into that place of having PMDD intrusive thoughts and having lies and really questioning, is this true? Are the things that I'm thinking about my PMDD partner true? When I go into my follicular days, I don't really feel like this, but then all of a sudden I go into PMDD and I'm looking at my partner completely different. My partner feels differently. I think differently about my partner. And a lot of times I remember earlier in my journey, my PMDD partner used to actually look different when I went into PMDD. So I was so confused and almost thinking that the thoughts that I was having was actually true. So that is one of the things that is very confusing because it's so convincing, right? It's so convincing, the thoughts that you're having about your PMDD partner. But what I will tell you is what you focus on, you will find. So when you wake up in the morning and you have those intrusive thoughts, or you're going about your day and you're having those intrusive thoughts, if you choose to focus on them, if you choose to believe them, they are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in your mind. So immediately, when you start to have those PMDD intrusive thoughts, I want you to get rid of them. Once you understand that it's a lie, I want you to distract yourself. I want you to leave the room. I want you to go on a walk. I want you to journal. I want you to do something to distract yourself from having these intrusive thoughts. Because if you stay in that moment and you really start to believe them, you're actually going to start treating your PMDD partner differently. I've seen this so many times where PMDD is attacking your brain and it's telling you different things about your PMDD partner, and you're actually treating them as if it's true. You're treating your PMDD partner as if the thoughts that you're having in your brain are actually true. So for those who don't know you, I am Dr. Rose Alcaton, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. Okay, so the first thing I want you to really recognize is when you focus on your intrusive thoughts and you're really honing in and starting to believe them, just because you're focusing on them, just because they make sense in your mind, it doesn't mean that they're true. It doesn't mean that they're true. So many times we're convinced that what we think about our partner is actually true because we're focused on them. We've created another storyline in our mind. But the biggest trick of PMDD is lies and deception. The biggest trick of PMDD is lies and deception. And I'm saying that again because I want you to recognize that it is a trick, because if PMDD can get you to believe the lies that it's telling you in your mind, you're going to start making decisions based off of what you're thinking in your mind. You're going to start making decisions based off of what you're thinking in your mind, not necessarily based off of things that your PMDD partner has said to you in the moment, or not necessarily based off of things that they've done in the moment. You're going to be basing it off of just the stories that you've told yourself in your mind. So as soon as you feel yourself really getting anxious about your thoughts, I want you to renew your PMDD brain and let it go. I want you to say mantras. And that's one of the biggest tools that I use with my clients, and say mantras. This thought is not for me. You literally have to speak back to that thought, because so many times it overtakes us. It's so overwhelming. It's so controlling in our minds. But I want you to literally tell your thought, this thought is not for me. If the thought is telling you to break up with your PMDD partner, just say, this thought is not for me. If the thought is telling you that your PMDD partner is cheating on you, just say, this thought is not for me. If it doesn't feel good to you, then I want you to let it go. Because if not, you're really going to be starting to torture yourself. You're going to torture yourself and what it is that you're thinking about your PMDD partner. You're going to be trying to figure out, is this true? Is this not true? If it doesn't feel right to you, if it's causing you to have a lot of chaos and confusion, then it's a PMDD lie, and let it go and just say, this thought is not for me. Just let it go. So many times we think that we're trapped. And I know one of the biggest things that for individuals that have PMDD is you're just saying, oh my goodness, I just want peace. And a lot of times we don't have peace because of the thoughts that PMDD is putting into our brain. We don't have peace because of the things that PMDD partners are saying. What is this? Hi. Okay. Yeah. So I want you to really recognize the trick of PMDD. Recognize that it is playing with your brain. So when I was doing my PMDD partner's morning routine, one of the things I was reading was like, do not be anxious about anything. And I think it's so often that we really get anxious about a lot of things that are going on in our PMDD relationship. And when we go into PMDD, it makes us feel like we're on edge. It makes us feel like we need to do something about it. It makes us feel like we have to change something. So that's where the anxiousness is. The anxiousness comes from you literally feeling like, I got to do something about this. I'm feeling like my partner's cheating on me. I'm feeling like they're rejecting me. I'm feeling all of these things and I need to do something about it. That's where that anxiousness is coming from. But I want you to let it go, right? Guard your mind. So the next thing I was thinking about was guarding your mind. And what does that look like? It is being careful of what you're actually listening to, right? And sometimes it's being careful of the PMDD thoughts that you're listening to. Is this thought, ask yourself this question when you have a PMDD thought that's making you anxious. Is this thought coming from me, or is this PMDD? That's a good question to ask. Is this thought coming from me, or is it PMDD? Because a lot of times you're in your mind thinking thoughts that are not in alignment with what you even feel about your PMDD partner or your relationship. So if you know that it's not true to the core of who you are, then why are you believing it? Why are you acting on it? You know that if you're feeling insecure about your partner and your partner hasn't done anything, this is probably a PMDD thought. It's probably a PMDD thought because it's coming from something outside of you. Your partner hasn't done anything. And I've heard this so many times on private calls with my clients is that, I'm feeling differently about my partner, but my partner hasn't even done anything, but I'm just in PMDD and I'm just in my brain. So I want you to recognize that the PMDD thoughts that you're having, the intrusive thoughts, it's a separate entity. I want you to recognize that it's not your partner that's doing it. It's not even you that's doing it. It's a separate entity. So when you know that, ask yourself in your mind, I want you to make it very, very simple. Ask yourself, is this a positive thought about my PMDD partner? If not, delete it. What is this thought making me feel? Is it making me feel more anxious? Is it making me feel more paranoid? Is this thought making me feel like more rejected? Is it making me feel more sensitive, right? Because we already go into PMDD and we have that rejection sensitivity. But I want you to ask yourself, is this thought making me feel more of that? If the answer is yes, yes, I'm feeling more anxious. Yes, I'm feeling more anxiety. Yes, I'm feeling more insecure. Yes, I'm feeling more worried. Yes, I'm feeling more doubtful. If the answer is yes, that you're feeling that way because of that thought, then I want you to delete it. I want you to literally delete it because it's not helping you. And when you know that these PMDD intrusive thoughts are not helping you, you know that they're harming you. When you know that, if you knew that a thought was harming you, why would you let it live rent free in your mind? Why? And I know so many times we think that we don't have any control. We literally feel like when we go into PMDD, we don't have any control over our thoughts. We don't have any control over what we're thinking, what we're feeling. But I want to let you know you do. You do have control over your thoughts, but you have to select them, literally select them. Just like you put your clothes on every single day, because if you just go off of what PMDD is putting in your brain, if you go specifically off of that, it's going to torture you. And I want you to recognize when you're being tortured by your PMDD thoughts. Recognize when you're being tortured, because what did I tell you before? What you focus on, you will find. So if you're focusing on all of those PMDD intrusive thoughts that are telling you that you need to break up with your PMDD partner, that maybe you should just be single, that maybe, your partner doesn't really understand you, maybe you're not compatible, all of these things that you're thinking in your mind. But then you know that when you go into your follicular phase, you know that you're not going to feel like that. You know that you're not going to feel like that. So then why are you letting yourself believe it? Just say it's not for me. Use that mantra. This is not for me. This PMDD thought is not for me. I want you to start literally deleting what's not for you and just holding on to what's true. How do you really feel about your PMDD partner? So I want you to know that you can't control the PMDD intrusive thoughts, but you can control how you respond to them. So I want you to shift your focus. A lot of times you're so focused on controlling it, you're trying to stop it. You're saying, Dr. Rose, if I can just stop myself from having PMDD intrusive thoughts, you can't. The thoughts are going to come. The negative thoughts are going to come. The lies are going to come. That is the trick of PMDD. Think of it like a symptom. I want you to stop focusing on why you're having the PMDD intrusive thoughts and focus on what you can do about it. What can I do about this intrusive thought? So when you know that you can't control it, you can't even go back and change certain things in your memory. If you're thinking about certain things that your PMDD partner has said to you, certain things that your PMDD partner has done that's hurt you, you know that you can't go back in time and go back to that moment and change it. If your PMDD partner has apologized to you for it, if they've asked for your forgiveness, if they've taken accountability, don't let it continue to torture you. Because all you can do is choose to forgive them and then let it go. All you can do is choose to forgive them and let it go. Your partner can't even go back and do certain things, about it. Sometimes you're continuously punishing your PMDD partner over things that they literally can't control. They did it. They said it. They're remorseful. They've apologized. What more can you ask of your PMDD partner outside of an apology? And a lot of times we are holding them hostage off of things that they've said and done, and it's causing us to suffer. Because when you're holding on to that bitterness, that resentment over what they said and they done, all you're doing is thinking about breaking up, because you're like, how can I be with someone that did this? How can I be with someone that said this to me? When you're consistently thinking like that, it's going to be hard to stay in the relationship. So I want you to really ask yourself that. Are you choosing to stay in the relationship? Because if you're choosing to stay in the relationship, but you're not willing to let go of what your PMDD partner has said and done to you, you're torturing yourself. You are literally causing yourself to suffer even more because you're choosing to not let it go. Bitterness and resentment is another tool, another trick that PMDD uses to get it stuck in your brain. Because when you're bitter and you're resentful over something that your PMDD partner has said and done, then you don't want to let it go. It's stuck in your head. Then you feel justified. Yeah, I'm angry. Yeah, I want to break up. Yeah, I want to do this because they did this to me. It's keeping you stuck. You can't move on in your PMDD relationship if you're consistently thinking about what your PMDD partner has done. So this is how PMDD really attacks your brain, because it keeps you thinking about that instant. It takes you back to that moment. And what happens when your thoughts are stuck on something that your PMDD partner has done that's hurtful? What happens is you begin to experience those emotions all over again. You get angry again. You get worried again. You get insecure again. And the reason why you're feeling those emotions again is because you're consistently thinking about what they did. Let it go. When I say let it go, I don't mean like, oh, it's no big deal, like it didn't really hurt you. I've been there before where I've thought about it and I've literally said, I can't believe my PMDD partner has said this about me. I can't believe my PMDD partner has said this to me. But then you get to a point where you're just like, you know what? There's nothing I can do about this. So I want you to choose what you're focusing on. What you focus on, you will find. Okay? What you focus on, you will find. I want you to remember that. Hey. All right? So when you know that PMDD attacks your brain, when you know that this is a trick of PMDD, I want you to call it out. Literally call it out. I will see you. Okay. I have gone. Call it out. So I'm telling this to you because I want you to have some level of control. I want you to have some power over what PMDD does to you and the tricks of it. So this is supposed to arm you, your little pep talk of literally arming you with tools of what to do. Because a lot of times we're suffering because we feel helpless. We feel like we don't know what to do in the moment. We don't know what to do in the moment. So we feel like we have to believe everything that PMDD is telling us, and you don't. You don't. Because when you're guarding your mind, that means that you are selecting your thoughts. You are choosing what you're believing. You're choosing what you're believing. So I want you to, the next time that you have a PMDD intrusive thought and you're feeling stressed and you're feeling overwhelmed, I want you to know that you have the power to choose. So let's go over everything again. I was just going live, if you're wondering what I'm doing. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I am going to upload it, but I was going live on TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok, if you're not following me on Instagram, In Love with PMDD, if you're not following me on YouTube, In Love with PMDD, all of this is going to be saved and uploaded there. But let's go over everything all over again, okay? So PMDD attacks your brain. We know this. PMDD literally attacks your brain. It attacks your thoughts, right? So you can't stop yourself from having PMDD intrusive thoughts, but you can stop yourself from focusing on them. If you know that it's causing you pain, if you know that it's causing you to feel hurt, to feel abandoned, to feel rejected by your partner, then choose to let it go. The biggest trick of PMDD is lies and deception. If PMDD can get into your brain and convince you to do something, it can't touch you. That's what I want you to know about PMDD. It can't touch you, but it can convince you to do certain things in your mind. But you can choose, and you can choose not to listen to it and say, PMDD, I'm not listening to this. I'm not going to act on this. I know that this is PMDD. I know that I'm spiraling in my head. I know that I'm spiraling in my mind. I know that these are not rational thoughts. I want you to, you know it, because you can almost feel yourself in the moment. You know it. Give yourself credit, because a lot of times when you're believing these things in PMDD, I know that you can feel yourself almost in the moment. You're like, I can't believe I'm believing this. Yeah, because you know that it's not true. You know that it's not you. So if you know that it's not true and it's not you, then don't act on it. Take your power back. I want you to have some level of control when you go into PMDD. And when you feel yourself getting anxious, when you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, I want you to let it go, distract yourself, get yourself out of your head. Don't let it in. Think of you being a guard at the door. Don't let the PMDD thoughts in. As soon as you feel it tapping on you, and mine used to be first thing in the morning, instead of just laying there and believing it, I want you to question it, because when you question it, you're stopping that thought pattern. This is psychologically proven. When you question a thought, you're stopping that thought pattern, and then you're stopping it from having control over you. Okay, so remember, the biggest trick of PMDD is lies and deceptions in your mind. Don't let it win. Love you. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is, if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past, in PMDD rage and all of these things, so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship, so you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.